And we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mac to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you get started on your fitness journey. What is up, everybody? Hope y'all having an amazing day. Hope y'all are getting geared up for the holiday season. Christmas is right around the corner. I know y'all all getting excited. Got a lot of things to look forward to. The New Year's right around the corner as well. Always big things coming in the new year. So y'all get ready because it's coming whether you like it or not. But yeah, today's podcast, we are going to talk about my Spotify Wrapped results for 2024. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Spotify every year puts together what they call it Wrapped. So it's basically your 2024 wrapped up in a year is basically what it is. It's a bunch of statistics about well, if you're a producer, like if you're a podcast maker, it's for me, like specifically, it's a bunch of stats about my podcast. But if you're just a listener, like if you have Spotify and you just listen, it will also do the same thing from a listener standpoint. So like if you listen to certain music, it'll give you stats on like what music you listen to, how many minutes you spend doing it, things like that. So they do the same thing for podcasts if you actually like make the podcast. So that's what we're gonna go over today. And unfortunately, I cannot find my Spotify Wrapped from last year, from 2023. I tried to find it and I can't for some reason. I guess I didn't save it, but I wish I had it so I could compare the results, because we have made a little bit of progress this year. We've made some not major drastic changes, but we've gotten a little better in 2024. So I'm super pumped about that. And y'all see here in a minute. Yeah, today's podcast is extra special to me. I know not necessarily for y'all, but it's special to y'all too, because y'all are a part of that. Y'all have made it what it is. And hey, without y'all listening to the podcast, then I would just be here talking to myself. And honestly, that's what it feels like most of the time. But hey, that's cool. I like talking about fitness, so I don't mind it. I enjoy it. But yeah, before we hop into the stats a little bit, I just want to start off by taking a moment to reflect on kind of why I started the podcast and just how grateful I am for each and every one of y'all who tune in each and every week. So the reason I kind of started the podcast is because around the time I started, I really got into listening to podcasts, so other podcasts. This is about the time they all got big. So I've been listening to them for several years now. And I really, really liked them. I enjoyed them a lot. And I found myself listening to them more than I listened to like music. And I even listen when, instead of watching like YouTube videos or TV or movie, I would listen to podcasts. And I really liked it. And I also like to listen to the video version. So I listen to a lot of podcasts on YouTube where they do the video version. Hey, and shameless plug, if y'all didn't know, I actually record the podcast and I upload it on YouTube. So if you want to watch the video version of my podcast, y'all go check it out, the Fitness Beginner Podcast on YouTube. So yeah, it's a little shameless plug there. But yeah, I really liked them and enjoyed them. And I thought, well, I'm spending all this time consuming podcasts, so why not make one myself? And what better thing to make it about than fitness? Because that's literally what I do all the time. That's what I love. It's kind of my passion, and I enjoy doing it. So why not share the word, share what I know, and just talk about something that I enjoy? I could sit here and talk about it all day. And don't get me wrong, it's kind of hard talking about it to yourself, which is what I do. It would be nice to have somebody to kind of do the podcast with. But hey, it is what it is. I like doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not doing the podcast to go viral, to get a bunch of views and followers. Yeah, that would be nice, and I'm not against that at all. I hope that happens one day. I really do it strictly because I like doing it. I like to kind of provide y'all value and try to help out as many people as I possibly can. My podcast is not huge by no means; it's very small, but I like doing it. So it's kind of like a passion thing. I enjoy doing it. I like talking about fitness, and if somebody else can benefit from that, then hey, I'll keep doing it. If I help, my goal is to impact one person from each episode. Like if one person listens to the episode and they take something away from it, then that episode to me was a win. So that's why I do it. I enjoy it. And I think I can help at least one person episode. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in each and every week. I really appreciate it. If you're a return listener, shout out to you. Hey, if you're new, y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button and tune in, because I drop new episodes each and every week. Talk about pretty much all things fitness, mainly tailored to beginners. I'd like to keep things basic because I don't want to overwhelm people. You can go really, really deep in the weeds of fitness. But for 99% of people, that's not necessary. I mean, unless you're trying to do a bodybuilding show or something It's not necessary to go like that deep. I think you can stick to the basics and see really good results and really good progress in your fitness journey. As long as you're consistent, that's all you need. So I try to keep things at a base level, try to help beginners or intermediate level. Hey, and even some advanced people can learn some things too. You never stop learning. You always be a student of the game. As soon as you stop learning, then you're basically regressing. You're going backwards. So always learn, get better, and I do the same thing. So I learned a lot this year when I did my bodybuilding show. Hired a coach. He taught me a lot, and it was a great process. I enjoyed it. A good little experience, and I learned a lot. And I relayed a lot of that information that I learned to y'all on the podcast. So always getting better, always learning. When I first started the podcast, I kind of had two main goals. One was to help other people get started, because I think a lot of people don't really know where to start or what to do. But two was to kind of share my own fitness journey. I like to share my own journey, because people can always connect with you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Somebody will resonate with my story because my story may be similar to theirs, and they can take what I've done and use it, learn from it, do it better. Don't make the same mistakes I make. So yeah, I like to share my story as well, because anybody that I can connect with on like a personal level, I think that goes a long way, and I think it'll help people even more. So yeah, I like to connect people who are with people who are passionate about health and about fitness, and I like to get more people into the game, more people into health and fitness and learning and getting better, making their bodies healthier, and just overall enjoying fitness as a whole. So yeah, that's pretty much why I do the podcast. If you're one of those people that like talking about fitness too, hey, hit me up. I love to have a conversation. Social medias, Murphy McFit on all social medias pretty much. Or hey, if you want to hop on the podcast and let's have a conversation about something, we can go back and forth and kind of do a debate, or we can do whatever you want to do. We'll do whatever we can. So I love to have people join and talk about different topics in fitness, because that's how we all learn. I'm still learning from other people learn from me, and it's just a continuous cycle. So yeah, when I first started, I took a leap of faith. Honestly, like I was kind of intimidated to get on here, and I also live stream my podcast. So I'm doing this live right now as we speak. So that was another big obstacle. Like I never done any live streaming before. So if I screw up on this, people are going to see it. But hey, after a while, the nervousness just went away. Like I quit caring what people think. If I messed up, oh well, I just keep going. Like it's not that big a deal. Everybody makes mistakes. And I think a lot of people can actually connect with you better when they see you do it live, because if they see you make mistakes, they understand, hey, he's human too. Like he makes mistakes. He's not perfect. So I think you get that better connection when you do it live. And I've gotten a lot better just speaking, a lot better kind of, what's the word for it? Putting my own words, like my own thoughts into words. So I know it can be hard to talk sometimes. Like if you can't really get your thought process out in certain ways, but the more you do it, the more you practice it, the better you get at it. So when I first started the podcast, I scripted a lot of my podcasts. So I literally would just straight up read off of the screen, because I didn't know how to like articulate my own words. But now, basically what I do is I just do an outline. I'll use ChatGPT a lot of times to make me an outline of whatever that podcast topic is that day. And then I'll just use those bullet points as talking points, and then I'll kind of just add my own input, my own opinion onto those. And that's kind of how I do the podcast. And I've gotten a lot better at that, a lot better at expressing my own opinions and my own thought processes on those different topics. So you get better with practice. This is episode, I think 127. So we're getting up there. 127, that's pretty good. That's a lot for me. I've been doing the podcast about 2 years now, a little over 2 years. We've done just at an episode a week. I think we've actually done a little more, a little over an episode a week. But yeah, now I don't get nervous at all. I just hop on here and do it and knock it out, and just keep going. Yeah, I had a lot to say. I knew I had some things I could share. I've been doing fitness for 11 years now, so I knew some people could benefit from some of the things that I know. So I thought, hey, what better way than to get it out there to help as many people as I could. So I was determined to put it out in the world. Fast forward to today, and here we are, still doing the podcast. Got a little community of listeners who like to listen each and every week. So shout out to y'all. Yeah, enough of that. Let's go ahead and talk about the numbers. So Spotify Wrapped, they just dropped it like a week or two ago. So let's see how the podcast performed. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen. So if you're watching the video version, you should be able to see my screen. But if you're not, I will just say it out loud so y'all can hear. Let's see. All right, let me make me smaller. Oh, where did I go? Sorry, y'all. Y'all bear with me for a second. How do I make this one bigger? Oh, there we go. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see this. All right, yeah. The Fitness Beginner Podcast, you already know that. It says rap season is here. Let's go. So if we scroll down, fans were really loving you in 2024. You took it to a whole new level this year. You gained 91% followers. So I told y'all we made some progress this year, 91%. Now that number is very low. I mean, not low, but 91% is high, but my followers is pretty low. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention that I want to say real quick. These numbers are just for Spotify. These don't represent all the other places that I put the podcast. So if you don't know this, I live stream the podcast onto Facebook, onto YouTube, onto LinkedIn, onto Twitch, and also onto Instagram. So I get viewers on all those. I mean, no, the numbers are not very high on all of them, but they do add up all together. I think I see the best results on Facebook besides on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But yeah, so these numbers don't account for all those views. It also don't. I think it does account for Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So unfortunately, I can't track all those views into one. That would be nice because the numbers are a little higher, but it is what it is. If you listen on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, if you listen to the live stream, I highly, highly recommend going to your podcast platform, wherever you listen to podcasts, and subscribe over there and listen over there because you can listen to just the audio version, or you can also now Spotify, you can listen to the video version. So I upload the video on Spotify too, so you can watch it on there if y'all use Spotify. But yeah, so I don't have all my numbers on here, but hey, it is what it is. This is the only way I can track it really. But yeah, it says give it up for your fans. 91% of your listeners. Sorry, it's a little. 91% of your listeners discovered you this year. So that's pretty much the same stat. Your fans have a clear favorite. Your top episode was episode number 1. Consistency is key. And that makes sense because episode number 1, most people when they start a new podcast, they start at episode 1 and they listen to it in order, chronological order. I do want to say, if you do listen to this podcast, you do not have to listen in chronological order. It is not in order at all. All the episodes are independent. It does not go in order. So you don't have to listen this way, but that's just how a lot of people do it. So episode 1 is always the most viewed one that year. So that makes a lot of sense. So it was streamed 994% more than your average episode. So yeah, that episode is viewed a lot more. Ever wondered who your audience is? Let's break it down. So listeners by age, 18 to 24 is 6% of my listeners. 25 to 29 is 17% of my listeners. 30 to 34 is 23% of listeners. 35 to 44 is 32% of listeners. So that's the biggest age group. 45 to 54 is 16%, and 55 plus is 6%. So shout out to all my 35 to 44-year-old people. Y'all are my highest age group. Shout out to y'all. Listeners ages 55 plus grew the most by 57%. So all my 55 plus people, shout out to you too. Y'all grew the most this year, 57%. Yeah, and these stats only represent 2024. This is not all-time stats. These are just 2024. So where in the world have you been? So this is one of my favorite stats. I think this is pretty cool. In 2024, your show traveled the globe. You were streamed in 23 different countries. So when I saw that, I thought that was pretty cool. 23 countries. That's honestly the power of the internet is crazy. Like I would have never expected to do that. But yeah, United States was my top country, which obviously that makes sense. I'm in the U.S. Your fans have great taste, obviously. Other than your show, they also loved the Joe Rogan Experience, Get Sleepy Premium. I never heard of that podcast. Morbid, never heard of that either. Short and Curly, never heard of that. Drinking Bros podcast, never heard of that. So I never heard of any of those. So y'all are obviously listening to them people too that I don't know of. Music, so my listeners listen to rap music first, new metal second, country third. What is new metal? I don't know what that means. N-U-M-E-T-A-L, new metal. I don't know what that is. Maybe y'all could let me know. Audiobook genres. Number 1, self-help. So that makes sense. This is kind of a self-help podcast. Number 2, health and wellness. Again, that makes sense. And then number 3, arts and entertainment. I don't know why those stats are on Spotify Rap, but I think they're just trying to throw extra stuff in there that they can. So listeners can't keep their eyes off of you. Your show was in the top 30% of video podcasts on Spotify. So that's cool. Top 30% of video podcasts on Spotify. I really don't know how that's possible, but hey, we'll take it. Top 30% sounds pretty good to me. Shout out to your biggest fans for keeping you at the top of your game. You're a top 10 podcast show for 79 fans. So I'm top 10 for 79 people. That's cool. You're a top 5 show for 49 fans. So that means for 49 people out there, I'm their top 5 shows that they listen to on a weekly basis. You're the number 1 show for 13 fans. So shout out to my 13 people. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all the true fans out there, 13 of y'all. Hey, we'll take it. 13 more people than I would be talking to normally on a normal basis. So shout out to y'all. Your top fans listen to you 6.2 times more than other listeners. Y'all the real OGs. So what kind of creator are you? Is that the end of it? Sorry, y'all. I don't know what's going on with this. The trendsetter. Okay. Your fans have entered the conversation. Your podcast rating was 5 stars. Okay, then. Shout out to y'all. 5 stars. If you hadn't left a review on the podcast yet, go ahead and do it now. I appreciate it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast at, drop me a 5 stars. That goes a long ways, especially for a small podcast like myself. When y'all rate me, when y'all give me reviews, if you leave a comment or something, it does a lot for a small channel like myself because it makes the algorithm know that, hey, people are listening to this, people are engaging with it, and that way they'll push it out to other people. So shout out to y'all for leaving me 5 stars. If you haven't, please do that. It goes a long ways. Thank you for giving people something to talk about. But it's not over yet. Keep the conversation going and share with your friends. So yeah, those are some cool little stats for the podcast. That's Spotify Wrapped. Now let's look at some statistics on my podcast. So overall streams for the whole podcast, I've had 8,589. 32 plays per episode on average. Audience size, 76 on average. So again, like I said, no crazy podcast numbers here, but hey, it is what it is. You got to start somewhere. Just getting started with it, really, and I'm super proud of those numbers. My goal, we need to get that to 10,000. We need to get 10,000 streams all time. So y'all tell your friends about the podcast so we can get 10,000 streams soon. I really appreciate it. But yeah, we gotta get started somewhere. Hey, and I'm proud of those numbers. We'll take it. Audience. So all-time audience. So 61.6% of my audience is male. 34.8% of the audience is female. And then 2.9 is non-specified. My age, again, well, this says age is 28 to 34 all time. Is 33.7%. That's the highest one. So 28 to 34-year-olds all time is my highest age group. Geographic location, obviously the United States is the highest, 59%. Y'all look at these countries. United Kingdom, 11%. Australia, 6%. Canada, 6%. Philippines, 2%. Netherlands, 2%. And the rest are 1%. So we have Japan, Ireland, Belgium, Sri Lanka. I don't even know how to say that. If y'all know how to say that, y'all let me know. SRILANKA. India, Germany, New Zealand, Denmark, Hungary, Kenya, the Netherlands, Spain, Indonesia, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Sweden, Italy, Singapore, South Africa, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Ghana, Norway, Portugal, Finland, France, Qatar, Slovenia, Iraq, Switzerland, Egypt, Puerto Rico, Taiwan, Slovakia, Mexico, Macedonia, South Korea, Brazil, Romania, Austria, Russia, Czech Republic, Namibia, Thailand, Kuwait, Ukraine, Latvia, Colombia, Botswana, Israel, Croatia, Panama, Nigeria, Cyprus, Libya, Costa Rica, Bulgaria, Chile, United Arab Emirates, Lithuania, Pakistan, Mali, Ecuador, Greece, Bosnia, Turkey. So those are all the places, all the countries my podcast has been streamed. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's gotten out there. Shout out to y'all. On the platforms, Apple Podcasts is my biggest platform, 49.1%. Spotify, second biggest at 27.3%. Then you have the web browser, Google Podcasts, Audible, Castbox. I don't even know what Castbox is. But shout out to y'all if you listen to me on Castbox. Episode rankings, we already looked at this. Episode 1, consistency is key and by far the highest. And then it just kind of goes down from there because people start at episode 1. But yeah, so those are a few little stats from the podcast. Again, shout out to all my listeners. Shout out to y'all for tuning in each and every week. I know it ain't no crazy numbers or nothing, but it means a lot to me. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I enjoy doing it, so I'm going to keep doing it whether you tune in or not. I don't care if I get 1 view every episode. I'm still going to do it. And like I mentioned earlier, those numbers only represent like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. They don't represent Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. But hey, that's okay. We ain't tripping about it. We here to provide value and not worry too much about the numbers. But hey, if we can get the numbers up, that's great. Y'all tell your friend about it. Tell your mom, your best friend, your dog, whoever. Tune in each and every week because we dropping value every Monday. If you listen to it live, I do it live on Sunday. I upload the podcast onto all the podcasting platforms on Monday morning at 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. So that way it's ready to go in the morning when you're on the way to work. So that's kind of the idea. I want y'all to listen to it in the car on the way to work. So that's why I do it 4 a.m. on Monday morning. To set y'all up for the week, to get y'all going so you can attack your week, win the day, win the week. And that's what I like to do. So yeah, again, I just want to express my gratitude to all y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. It means a lot. And let's do everything we can to spread fitness, spread health, spread wellness to each and everyone out there so we can help everybody get healthy in 2025. I see great things coming in 2025, not just for me, but for everybody, for the fitness community, for everyone's health overall. I think people are starting to take it more and more serious each and every day because we're starting to learn more. Hey, we're starting to learn more about like things that are bad for us, things that are good for us, things that we should be doing. Now that the internet's out there and so many studies are out there, it's becoming more and more available to people, and people are starting to open their eyes to a bunch of the junk that our big pharma people are feeding us, like all the food, all this processed food, all the dyes that they're feeding us, all the junk. People are finally starting to open up their eyes about it. They're starting to be more aware about it and starting to cut these things out. We're already seeing some states starting to ban dyes. Like I think California, first state to ban Red 40, I think it was. So hopefully that starts to become more and more of a thing, and in other states kind of follow suit in that and start banning all these chemicals, these forever chemicals, and this poison basically we're putting in our bodies. So I see good things coming in 2025. So yeah, it's all for the better, and hopefully we can get America, or everybody out there, not just America, the whole world, more healthy, more happy, stress-free, things like that. I think that's just going to make a better overall world for everybody. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. That's going to be it for the podcast today. If you enjoyed the podcast, if you like seeing some of the numbers behind the scenes, there y'all have it. Y'all can see it. Let's get those numbers up for 2025. I'm challenging y'all. Tell your friend about it. Share the podcast with people that you know that are just starting on their fitness journey, or they're looking to get into the fitness journey, or if you know they need to start a fitness journey, hey, share the podcast with them so they can start learning today and they can get going, hit the gym running, and make all those gains in 2025. Because I know y'all going to be starting your New Year's resolution. I know 2025, January 1st is right around the corner. Y'all going to be starting your New Year's resolution. You're going to lose weight. You're going to get back in the gym. So hey, go ahead and share it with them so they can start learning ahead of time. Share it today. So by the time January 1st rolls around, they'll be good to go. They'll be ready, and they'll be attacking their fitness goals and getting healthy and doing the things they need to be doing. So thank y'all so much again. I'm extremely grateful for each and every one of y'all. Peace, love, and protein. We out.